And now let me go over the quadrant task organizer, and this was taken from Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the things I wanted to mention with this is that you don't have to invent everything. There's so much information out there, and that's the beauty of the internet. So I'm just borrowing something that somebody else has already created and passing the information along. But the reason I really like this is that my focus oftentimes is lost in quadrant 3 or fighting fires in quadrant 1, and I will go through these. But the activities that I keep reminding myself of that I really need to be spending much more time in are quadrant 2. So let me go over the quadrants. Quadrant 1 is basically the fighting fire quadrant. That's where you crisis, pressing problems, deadline driven, so the results are stress, burnout, crisis management as an example. Quadrant 2 are the activities that are geared at prevention, building relationship, recognizing new opportunities, planning, and of course, recreation. And the results of this, rather than the stress, are vision, balance, discipline, control, and many few crises. Quadrant 3 is a quadrant that some of us may spend a lot of time in, but here's the key. Are we getting any closer to where we want to be? Are we making progress on our project, or do we just feel good? These are activities such interruptions, phone interruptions, email interruptions, your networking meetings, your luncheons, popular activities. For example, you may be going to a function that, okay, you meet other people, but are you going there to get some results? Quadrant 4 is the quadrant of wasting time, your trivia, your busy work, you're just playing around with email, you're doing some personal social media or whatever. The result, you may even get fired if you have a job, but it's really activities that really are not doing you any good, and you don't even feel good about them. I forgot to go through the results on here, but in quadrant 3, most of the results of the activities are short-term feel good. Now, what's important about knowing about this? Quadrant 1, as I mentioned, is where you're fighting fires. If you spend more time in quadrant 2, you would be fighting less fires. In other words, things would not come up as an emergency because you took care of them here. Oftentimes, this is also the quadrant we find the least time for, and I have a number of friends that are in various businesses, and you ask them about planning. I don't have time because I am fighting fires here. Now, let's look at where we can buy time for quadrant 2. Certainly from quadrant 4. These are all wasted time activities. If we just do away with most of these, we gain time here. Quadrant 3 activities, the same. Watch where you're spending your time. I guarantee you a lot of the networking meetings basically just feel good, but you're not getting out of them what your original intention was. Take time from especially quadrant 4 and then quadrant 3, invested in quadrant 2 activities, and you're going to be spending less time fighting fires. So anyhow, I'm going to end this segment, and the next we're going to go through a summary.